Says live on your tube. Like,
Okay, it's setting up the live.
Is it better to go horizontal with the phone?
you want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Try that out.
Says
There you go.
live on your tube.
Okay, now we're live on YouTube.
All right. Are we live on Facebook as well? Is
We are
it better
live
to
on
go
YouTube.
horizontal with the phone?
You want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Try that out.
Says
There you go.
There we
live on
go.
your tube.
Okay, now we're live on YouTube.
All right. Are we live on Facebook as well? Is
We
it
are
better to
live on
go
YouTube.
horizontal with the phone?
You want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Try that out.
Says
There you go.
live on your tube.
Okay, now we're live on YouTube.
All right. We have an echo or something.
Watching it.
Who's watching it?
Somebody's watching the stream as well, so we're getting echoes.
There you go.
Wait, who's
Who is watching it at the same time?
There you go. Hope you love.
Somebody's watching the stream as well, so we're getting echoes. Oh, weird.
Is that better?
I think so.
Nobody here. Here we
that
go.
was me. That was me. Sorry, guys.
Donnie.
Gonna dance, Donnie?
All right. Well, here we are. Go ahead, Austin. Take it.
All right. How's everyone doing today? How you doing, Tony?
Everybody I can, the easy ones twice.
Well, this is great, actually, Tony, because like we had to get you on Zoom and get you all dialed in, and it's just great that you are technologically advanced and able to get it all done on your phone. So thank you for joining us, and you know, for downloading the app and being part of this conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it.
Go ahead.
All right.
Ask questions.
So Donnie, I'm gonna post this live on Facebook right now. So why don't you go ahead and ask him the first question, and we'll get some questions from YouTube as well.
Okay, cool. Well, not even a question. We'll just have a conversation to start.
Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, we just want to talk about how are you doing? First of all, tell everybody your name, give a little background of who Mr. Tony is.
Okay. I'm Tony Procassini. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I came here from New Jersey to go to the University of Michigan in 1939. And I was here in school when drafted into the Marine Corps in 1946, and went overseas and joined the 1st Marine Division on a little island called Pavuvu.
Pavuvu.
Yes, and
I've heard of that place.
when I was coming up with the ship and I looked on the island, I said, "Boy, that looks like a real hellhole." And as it turned out, we did a lot of fixing up, and from there we went on to Peleliu and came back to Pavuvu. And you know, I thought it was the prettiest island that I'd seen in a long time. So we then prepared for Okinawa, and as we just recently told you, we landed on the 1st of April, which was Easter Sunday in 1945. So a lot of water has gone under the dam since that time, and came back to Ann Arbor, finished up with my degree, raised my 10 kids, and been married for 74 years, and I lost my wife 2 years ago. Now you want to ask any questions, I'll be glad to.
Yeah, no, thank you for the overall, the overall of, letting everybody know who you are, what you are. You are a Okinawa, Peleliu, Pavuvu,
Yeah.
First Marines.
I went to China too.
China. All right. China. How was that?
And kids?
Well, we after we got finished with Okinawa, they sent us over to transfer the Japs back to their island, and we were the first ones to fight the communists.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, first of all, we're all kind of sequestered here and just quarantined here at our house right now. How's it been for you?
Well, the last 29 days, I looked at the four walls and watched television, and today I got an opportunity to look at three good-looking guys at me.
I don't know about that guy right there. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's been pretty tough. Unfortunately, sorry we weren't able to take you to Okinawa. We got canceled for our Iwo Jima Okinawa program months ago, and it seems like they must have known something ahead of time because they canceled us. And we definitely certainly want to take you back to Okinawa, where you fought and served. A lot has changed. I was there last year. A lot has changed, and we'll take a rain check on that and see what happens in the future.
Okay, that's kind of fun. It's interesting because I have one of my granddaughters, and I have 18 of them, and she was in Okinawa, and she and her fiance and had an opportunity to see it, and told me all about it. And of course, when we left it, it was open ground, and now it's a big city again, I understand.
Big city, right there where you guys were. I mean, just, right there. It's developed big time. There's a lot of people and it's all crammed, and it's different. And it'll be interesting to take you back to the areas where you fought.
What are they anticipating next year sometime?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just kind of a wait and see, so we'll just wait and see what happens. More importantly, it's important for your health and safety. Obviously, we want to make sure that, you guys survived the war, survived the Japanese. You certainly want to be able to survive the coronavirus. So
tell me, how many trips have you taken on it?
We've done quite a number of programs to Saipan, Tinian, Guam, Iwo Jima, Holland, Germany. I mean, Hawaii, Vietnam. So it's been, we've had a lot. I'm sorry?
Did you go to France this year?
Not this year. We went last year. We'll be back this year, hopefully in June, but it's wait to see what happens. I mean, right now we're planning for the 76th anniversary of D-Day, and we'll just see what happens. Everything right now is just wait and see. I mean, we really don't know. This is unprecedented in our lifetime.
Well, I think it's a great thing what you're doing. It gives a bunch of old guys like me and an opportunity to see where we've been and what was accomplished in World War II.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it means a lot to us because of what you guys done. It really gave us an opportunity to, to live the life that we live. I mean, you guys stood up when, in the times that we needed you. And that's why we always say that the greatest generation, you guys overcame the Great Depression and then stood up and fought. And I mean, a lot of guys, joined the military before they're even 18 years old. They all wanted to serve. And I mean, firsthand what it is to serve and defend and our country. And if you look at what's happened in the last 75 years, it's amazing. And it's all on the backs of the foundation that you men and women did for us. So that's why we're forever grateful. I'm just really happy to to have this organization, and thank God for the game of football, provide me an opportunity to get this platform to give back and to make a difference. And we owe you guys. And one of our models is taking care of the ones who took care of us, which is, so important. We really believe it. And all of our team, we're all volunteers. Ralph is here. He's going to speak in a little bit. He lives in the Netherlands, and his town was liberated by the 29th Infantry Division. And he understands about being occupied, and his grandparents talking about being occupied and having Americans come in who didn't speak a word of Dutch, come in there to liberate them from the Nazis. So it means a lot to all of us, and we're very, very thankful to have, you know, men like you who continue to tell your story, because it's so important that we share your story with the next generation. That's why we have our education initiative with Best Defense Foundation, where we're able to, you know, engage kids so that they can remember. So we don't, you know, so it doesn't happen again.
Let me say that I'm no hero. I did just what all the other guys had to do to win the war. So the real heroes are still buried over there.
Yeah, no, but you stepped up, and we appreciate your service to this country. It's made this country what it is today. And I think you're right. The heroes are the ones who never had a chance to come back. They sacrificed and gave their lives, you know, for our freedom and for, you know, the way that we live as Americans. And that's why we truly honor them. And this is a flag that has been to the top of Mount Suribachi, all the way to the beaches of Omaha, to the top of the Eagle's Nest, Birch's Garden. This flag represents those heroes and all the guys that have, you know, have gone. So we don't forget. And it's, you know, and it's important that for all of us, that we remember, and we will always remember. I promise you that. We'll always keep telling the next generation about the service and sacrifice of what you guys did. So
I've got an interesting story to tell you.
Well, tell.
I was injured in Okinawa with blast concussion, and they told me they're going to give me a Purple Heart. Well, 74 years later, I got the Purple Heart.
Wow.
Can you tell us about that battle there?
Was that the Okinawa? Well, we're
Can you tell us about the battle?
close to Sherry Castle, and come under bombardment, and that's when a shell must have hit close by, and so they took me to the field hospital, and I was there for approximately 2 weeks, and then went back to the front lines.
So did you get hit with shrapnel?
No, it was blast concussion.
Blast concussion.
Yes. So, and they got me squared away and got me back to the front lines.
Yeah, not the same, but I could relate a little bit. I've had a couple of blast concussions when I went head to head with Jerome Bettis, all the same running back.
Well, you got to remember, they're all hardheads in football.
Yeah, and I'm not a big guy, but
Yeah.
you know, I can somewhat relate a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's something about that
Well,
for sure. Well,
They're
really happy
they're
that
doing
you-
a lot in terms of concussions in the football league and college league as well.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad we're putting some emphasis and importance on that contact, because obviously it's about time. You know, I think a lot of us knew about it, but I'm glad that the research and people are putting a little bit more emphasis on the safety of it, which is important, especially in the military as well. You know, blast concussions. I mean, a lot of times people just don't even like think about it, because these type of injuries you can't really see.
That's correct.
You can't really see, but it's there. And I'm glad that we are finally addressing that and bringing it to the forefront, which is so important, as you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We got people all over the world watching right now. We got people from Brazil, Spain, Amsterdam, France, everywhere.
You didn't mention my country,
I guess.
Italy. We were supposed to be there this week.
Oh man.
We had to cancel the trip because of the virus.
Yeah.
So
So you're still traveling around just for fun, huh?
no, we were supposed to leave on the 24th of March, and of course, you know what happened in Italy.
Yeah.
They got hit very hard with the virus.
Yeah, Tony, how old are you right now?
I'm 98, and I'll be 99 on the 17th of April.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So it's coming up in like almost 10 days.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, my birthday's tomorrow. I'm also an Aries baby.
Yeah.
And, I'm 46. I'll be 47 tomorrow.
I got a granddaughter that's going to be 26 tomorrow as well.
Oh, wow. April
She's-
6th.
Yeah, same thing. And as I
April
say, our anniversary was today.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations.
So you guys got married today and what year was that?
1944,
Right in the middle of the war.
middle of the war.
Mm-hmm. And when did you leave to go to the Pacific?
Yeah, well, I got mortar training, and we got married on the 5th of April, and we shipped out on about the 1st of May on the Rochambeau, as I recall. You know, to my age,
Oh,
and went to the South Pacific, and we got to New Caledonia, and then they shipped us off to Pavuvu.
yeah. And that was in 1944. Hey, Tony, have you had a chance to watch the series on HBO called The Pacific?
He's the one that Sledge was part of his book.
Yeah.
He was in the 5th Marines,
Yep.
and he was a mortarman too, by the way.
That's right.
But he did a great job in putting that book together.
Yeah.
The series? Did you watch it?
No, I just watched part of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a couple of episodes, one's on Pavuvu and one's on Guadalcanal. And if I remember, Peleliu as well, right? Episode 6, I believe. Yeah.
I don't know that he went to China. In fact, I don't remember if he went to Okinawa or not, but he was on Peleliu, and that's what he wrote about.
Yeah. Go on, Austin.
So we have a couple questions here. So Simon Rose says, how did you feel when you heard about Operation Downfall and that you might have to be a part of it? Does that sound familiar to you?
So, sorry, give that to me again, Austin.
Operation Downfall?
I don't recall it.
No, you don't recall Operation Downfall? Okay.
What is that? Ralph, do you know what Operation Downfall is?
No, it doesn't ring a bell to me.
Yeah.
Just to search it, see what it is.
Yeah, okay. Okay, another
Because
question.
it's all different names. A lot of times when you're in the field, you don't know the names of the operation. You know, you're just
That's
doing your
right.
job and you're just like,
Yeah, you're just keeping your head down.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right,
Incidentally, some there's probably be
Oh,
of
it's
interest.
the,
to you.
it's the
Probably
invasion
different.
of Japan.
What?
Japan home islands near the end of the World War II in Asia.
Yeah, the
It
invasion.
was canceled when
Oh, the
Japan
invasion of
surrendered.
Japan.
Okay, that was what would have happened if they didn't drop the bomb, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Well, I thank Mr. Truman every day of my life. He saved thousands of lives by dropping the bomb. I know
Millions.
sometimes it's not popular, but it
Yeah.
was there. The other thing I was going to mention that you guys might have been Marines. Remember Chesty Polar? Well, he was battalion commander for the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marine, which I was in. So interesting guy.
Did you ever have a chance meeting with him? Did you
Yeah,
ever?
I met with him on the beach when we landed on Peleliu. It was, we didn't get very much of the territory, and we were laying on the beach, and I looked alongside of me, and believe it or not, I saw Chesty there. And I figured I better get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
And he says, "Where the hell are you going, son?" So that's my experience with Chesty.
Yeah. Let me get out of the way for sure. Just to echo what you said, Tony, about Truman dropping the bomb. My grandfather, matter of fact, today, guys, I don't know if you guys know, Austin and Ralph, that today is my grandfather's birthday. He would have been 101 years old today. Maximino Razzle.
Wow.
So today is his birthday. And he also talked about what you said about not going into Japan and dropping the bomb. He said he saved a lot of lives. He's like, he told me, he's like, you probably wouldn't have been here if we didn't drop that bomb.
That's correct. We were scheduled, I think they kept, the rumors were that we were going to Yokohama, going to land there, which was their naval base. So, yeah. All I can say is if your grandfather was 101, I'd like to follow him.
Yeah, well, you're leading the charge for sure. You're leading the charge for sure.
Yeah. So a couple people have asked, what was your most remarkable moment of the war for you?
Well, probably in terms of the name of the game was to win. And when they dropped the bomb, we won. And that was, I even smoked a cigar on that day. And I never smoked in my life, but that was one day I did. So that's the highlight, because as we said earlier here, it saved so many lives.
And where were you that day when the war ended?
I was sitting on Okinawa, and was sitting under a tent, and we were playing poker when we heard the news over the radio.
I like that. So somebody just asked, like, what did you do in your free time between battles? So I think you just answered it, playing poker, huh?
No, one thing you learned about the Marine Corps was that it wasn't a very big organization, but there were two kinds of Marines: the ones that were going over to fight, and the ones that had already been there. And but the training they gave us got you ready for combat. That's the best thing I can say for them.
Yeah.
They trained us.
Were you part of the occupation of Japan?
No, we didn't get to Japan. We got to China.
Okay.
And of course, the Chinese had taken over. The Japanese had taken over China, and they were being sent back.
Okay. All right. Cool. How long were you in Okinawa? Oh, wait, so you didn't go to Okinawa, did you? Or did you? Yeah. How long were you on Okinawa?
Well, we were there from April the 1st on Easter Sunday until, about September sometime. They put us on ships. Hello.
Uh-oh.
I lost it says low power on my. Can you hear me?
There you
Yeah.
are. We see you.
Hold on a minute. I'll plug me in so I don't lose you guys.
All right.
Yeah. Can you raise the camera up a little bit? Too?
Yeah, I'll raise it.
All right.
There you go. How's that?
That's good.
Better.
Yeah.
And we went in September, and in January they told us they were shipping back to the States, and we got to the States, San Diego. We then went over to Great Lakes for discharge, and they came back to Ann Arbor, of course.
Okay. So here's a good question from Matthew R. He said, what made you choose the Marines?
Well, I think that they chose me. Told me where. You remember they were right in the middle, of course, of all hell in the Pacific, at least, and they were looking for anybody they can get a hold of, and I was one of the lucky ones.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. So you did your. So I live here in San Diego, and MCRD is right here in San Diego. I'm sure you have a little bit of affinity of San Diego, huh? You spent some time here.
I loved it because we got married at Camp Elliott there in near San Diego, and spent our honeymoon in La Jolla. So
that's right down the street.
Yeah.
So you remember your recruit training down at MCRD?
Oh yes, I remember that. Doesn't every Marine remember his boot camp?
Oh yeah. Well, that's a really special place. I mean, they're still putting out Marines from that same location where you train so many years ago.
Most of it's being done up at Pendleton, I gather, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Camp Pendleton is still there, and it's still running well. The home of the first Marine Division.
Yeah. I was back there when with the Marine Corps Association, First Marine, and we went to Pendleton, and they put on a show. They had more firepower in one squad than we had in a company, I think, that day. It was fantastic.
Mm.
Wow. How long were you in the Marines?
I'm sorry.
How long were you in the Marines?
Well, I was in from when I went in 44 to 46.
You didn't continue on after?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I had my wife. Was waiting for me.
Oh yeah, I understand. Hey, I don't know if you had a chance to meet Ralph. So Ralph Peters. Ralph, you want to tell him about your story?
I said hello to him.
Yeah.
You said hello, so yeah.
Go ahead, Ralph. You can say.
Well, my question is, did you lose any buddies at Okinawa, and who are they?
Oh, the thing I lost more of my buddies in Peleliu. In fact, a young fellow that was at our wedding, and we had a total of 15 when we got married and in the chapel there, and he got killed on Peleliu and received the Silver Star.
What is his name?
His name was Donald Mellons.
Donald Mellons.
And
He got the Silver Star?
INS, and was a bazooka guy, and went up against a tank. So that was the closest one, and one I remember the most, of course.
Do you remember where he's from?
Yeah, he was from. His home was Connecticut originally, and I met him at boot camp and training in the mortars.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, his brothers lives in. In fact, I talked to his brother yesterday.
Okay.
Who did?
His Sherwood Mellons, Sherwood and Terry Mellons, his brother and sister-in-law. So, great guy.
And you were saying that he got the Silver Star.
Yes, he did.
For what occasion did he got it? What
I
did
got
he do?
it for facing the enemy. So I don't have the citation in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Oh, wow.
that's quite a cool.
We just had a bunch of people join in from all over the world. Got people from Turkey,
So cool.
from Switzerland, all over, and we have people just all over saying thank you for your service, man.
Well,
There's people all over the world that hear your stories and just know what you guys went through, and like it's amazing for them to hear these stories, and for me and for all of us just to hear what you guys went through and the service you guys did. And it's so cool to get to talk to you and get to meet you like this.
well, let me say, it's people that I've met since I come home, and have also been so thankful for the operations for the GIs, and
Absolutely.
especially, of course, the Marine Corps.
Absolutely. Let's see some other questions we got here. Let's see. Andreas says, it's so special to hear your stories. My grandfather was part of the Danish resistance. He protected downed American airmen. Did you ever have any encounter with local resistance fighters?
No, of course, I was in the South Pacific, and those are mostly little islands, jump from one to the other.
So there wasn't like a because I know, like, in the Netherlands, Ralph, you guys had the Dutch underground, and you had different you had partisans, you had like different countries had their their own resistance.
Yes.
Did the island of, say, Okinawa, did they have like a Okinawan resistance or
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I always wonder about the islands if they had just locals that just weren't having it.
Well, the Philippines for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
the Filipinos were so helpful.
Yeah. Of course, that was U.S. associates that controlled a lot by the United States, if you recall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Did you ever run into the Army Air Corps on Okinawa?
No, but yeah, of course, their bombardment there and the Navy's bombardment of both Peleliu and Okinawa were tremendous. You never think that anybody could live under those bombardments, but the Japanese were pretty much dug into the caves and so forth. They were hard fighters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The best way I can put it was the only difference between them and our guys was we fought to win and they fought to die, I guess.
Yeah, especially in Peleliu when you guys went up to the caves there
That's
after
right.
taking.
Yeah, they were buried in the coral rock. Very.
How was that? What was that like? You know, because after you guys took the airport, right?
Yeah.
You overtook the airport, then you guys went into the cave system, and then.
Yeah. Well, of course, in those days, the thing that brought them out of the caves were the flamethrowers.
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Liberty, one of our team members asked if you got to see any of the USO groups that came and performed for the first time.
In Okinawa? Yeah.
What was, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the.
To see any
How
of
come Liberty's not on? She should join us. Have Liberty join us.
She probably doesn't want to put her makeup on. But any of the USO performances that happened over there, did you get to see any of those?
No, I haven't. Didn't see anything.
Too busy fighting.
Yeah. She's like, they were putting on concerts? What? We didn't get to do that.
Yeah, I got
No, it's interesting, Tony, because I've done probably 10 USO tours around the world visiting our troops. And it's funny because some of the guys that I talked to, some of the combat guys, I was like, oh, I was in Afghanistan and to go visit. He's like, yeah, I spent, a couple of years in Afghanistan. I've never seen a USO. I'm like, really? You never seen me? He's like, no, you guys don't come out down range where, we're fighting, which I never thought about that.
What I didn't tell you about was when we were on Pavuvu, we had Bob Hope and his entourage come down and see us with Jerry Colonna and Francis Langford, Tony Romero.
Oh, yeah.
There was Patty Thomas. Those were all of his troop. And I can still remember them. We're all on a particular field and they came over in little, what do you call them? Light airplanes. They're sticking their head out the window, waving at us and landed and put on a show for us.
Oh, so you did see one?
Yeah, but I didn't hear what you said originally. That's
okay. Okay. All right.
Memory's the second thing to go.
So that was in Pavuvu, right?
I forgot. Yes, it was.
That was in Pavuvu. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, did you ever come face to face with Japanese while you were over there? Like any contact?
Well, we were in close combat. I mean, and I, being a mortarman, and you're always about with the 60s, you're probably 100 feet back, maybe from your front line of infantry. So the odds were not very good that we were going to run man to man, but that wasn't our job.
Yeah, exactly. Your job was 60 millimeter mortars.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And what about
tremendous weapon?
Yeah. Oh yeah, still use it. Yep.
Still being used.
What about after the war, Tony? Did you ever run into any Japanese soldiers and ever have a conversation or anything like that with them?
No.
Interesting. Let's see. Some other questions we got. Yeah, we got a lot of people asking about Nazi artifacts, but you were not over in Europe, so
No,
you were not fighting Nazis.
Maybe he had Japanese artifacts.
Yeah. Did you bring back any Japanese artifacts?
I brought home a saber and one of their rifles.
Oh, really? And you still have
You
those?
still have it? Yeah.
Well, my grandson, I gave to my grandson the saber, and I promised to give my rifle to my son-in-law, who knows how to handle guns.
Tony, do you have a picture of you and when you were in the Pacific? Do you have it with you?
Do you have any old photos?
Yeah. That you can show us?
I don't know if you wait a minute, maybe I can show you. But you didn't give me enough time. I could have brought a lot of pictures.
No worries. You can take the phone with you.
Yeah, you can
Just unplug it and take the phone with you.
Yeah.
Hey, you know
Okay.
what, Tony? I have a Nambu. You know, the old Japanese gun?
Yeah, this was the old bolt type rifle. It's probably one of the early ones they had. Probably.
The
Was
Nambu
built-
is a handgun. The Nambu is a handgun. It was
Yeah.
brought back. Yeah, my grandfather brought it back, and I have it actually. It's original. It has been fired in 75 years. I mean, I know the Ristica.
Well,
the
I
rifle
might
that
not
they-
have fired either. In fact, that was the last time I fired anything. It was overseas. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What if I can get it?
Yeah.
Is he walking right now?
Yeah, I'm walking.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's
So he's walking now.
the World War II gun.
Oh. Ralph, I'm gonna look for some more questions. Why don't you ask me a question?
Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know. That's good.
So any photos and artifacts you can find, that'd be cool for us to see.
I think he is getting some.
I am. I'm trying to get a picture of my mortar squad here. Hold on.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's always cool to see this old stuff.
Yeah, it is.
It's those things where it's like, I wish I was there.
Yeah, right.
Why do we all have to be social distanced? Somebody asked what your weapon of choice was in the mortar, so I'm assuming that'd be a mortar, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Which part of the mortar?
What's that?
Because you were
Can
a
you see
squad, mortar squad. What was your? Were you the carrier of the mortar or the plate? Or
No, in Peleliu, I was a gunner, and in the Okinawa, forward observer. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
I found it.
How can I show you, Harry?
What did you
You
find?
wanted to see?
The
Can you,
Nambu.
can you
Oh,
see
go ahead,
it?
Tony. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There. Can you see it? See my?
Yeah, put it a little closer.
I put it in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah, keep it right there.
That's in on Pavuvu.
All right.
All right.
And that was the one that took probably in the first month or two that were there, because this was the guy in the front was our sergeant at the time, Strebeck. And can you see
What was
the
it?
picture?
Yeah, we can see it. What was his name again? The sergeant?
Strebeck.
Trebeck.
And but he went home and went back to Pittsburgh before Peleliu, as I recall.
Wow. So we have somebody who wants to join in and ask a question live.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
this is
do it. Yeah.
What's his or her name?
Tim Kirk.
Tim Kirk. Bring in Tim Kirk.
Tim, we're gonna
Tim
bring.
Kirk. Tim Kirk is a former U.S. Well, I guess no, he's a Marine, because once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's correct.
Tim Kirk is a
Let's bring in.
Marine, huh?
Let's bring in Tim Kirk.
All right.
Audio is
Kirk
working.
is joining in.
Keep it right there.
That's in the.
There he is.
Hey, welcome, Tim Kirk.
I don't him.
Where's Tim?
What's up, guys?
I didn't see him.
There's Tim. So, Tim, you have a question for Tony?
That were there because this was.
Why do I hear sound?
Oh, somebody's.
I didn't want to ask until Tony was done talking.
Can you see the picture from
Oh, I think, are we hearing the sound from your computer, Tim?
Strebeck?
Yeah, let me shut that off for you.
Yeah, I think we're hearing that.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's all good.
I was watching it on YouTube.
That's good.
How's that? Is that a lot better?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
All right. Tony, can you hear me?
Can you hear really clear?
All right. Lima Charlie.
Sorry.
Lima Charlie. Loud and clear.
Lima Charlie.
Lima Charlie, I got that.
All right, sir. Well, the question comes from a retired Marine Master Gunnery Sergeant. So thank you so much for your service. Obviously, you made a place so that I could serve.
Wonderful.
So my wife's grandfather, he actually served in the Army Air Corps, and he was on the island of Okinawa between August of 1945 and October of 1946. And I was just curious. I know us Marines, we like to hang around with Marines, but do you remember any of the guys from the Army Air Corps over on Okinawa?
Oh, I wish I did, but I don't. Because they were very important to us in terms of preparing a way before we went in against any operations.
Yeah, I think that he I think he was part of the base. It looks like maybe he was a plumber. I actually have a copy of his discharge papers right here from when he went in. And, he's not with us anymore, but, I just wondered if you ever ran into any of those guys. You probably would have found him playing poker and trying to sneak a little drink every now and then.
Most of the playing, we played with the guys that we were in the division with, but basically the company. So, but they were so important to the victory as all the different units were in the war, whether it was the Navy, Air Corps, Marines, they all did their part.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing your part so that I would have a place to come and serve years later. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for joining in.
Semper Fi.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, hoorah.
Hoorah.
Where did Tony go?
I don't know. Oh, I think something. He disconnected or something, or maybe his phone died because he was low battery.
I hope not. Well, we'll try and get back in with him. So how you doing today, Tim?
From one Marine to the other.
Yeah.
I'm doing outstanding. I actually called Donnie about an hour or so ago and was going to wish him an early happy birthday, but he sent me straight to voicemail. Obviously because he was probably preparing for this amazing event. So thank you guys so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Donnie. I'm doing great, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. It's always great to have your support for sure. It's always good to see you.
Sorry, this is my morning garb. I was getting some work done and I ran across this amazing event and I was like, I have to join in. You do such an amazing job, and obviously your team. I believe I've met both of these guys at the last event in San Diego. You guys had the fundraiser event, and
Yes,
you guys are all doing a really amazing job. And thanks for continuing to share the stories of these warriors of our past. It's something that you guys know I'm a little bit passionate about. But Donnie, I was just talking about you yesterday, brother, and I was sharing some of your stories with some other veterans that I hang around with and I speak to from time to time, and just tell them about all the great work you guys are doing. So, we got to sharing their stories. We got to keep capturing them while we can, because as we all know, getting into the hundreds, there's only so long these guys are going to last. We got to get it while we can.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And especially right now, there's this time where we're all, self-isolating and quarantined right now. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these veterans, they live in senior homes and things like that, and they can't even leave their room. They're almost like captured in their house. They cannot leave. And we want to make sure that we engage them. And it's great to engage, 99 or 98-year-old Tony, to engage him, get him active, and
get him back in.
What's that?
You got to get him back in somehow.
Yeah. Let me reach out to him.
Yeah, you invite him back in.
Yeah, he's a lot more interesting than me.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
Tim,
Not at all.
Tim, did you?
Tim, how many years were you in the Marine Corps, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay. So I served about 21 active duty years, and I had a couple of different periods that I served, and I was part of Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and after that concluded in 1991, came back here to San Diego and went ahead and got out of the Marine Corps at that time, thinking that the grass was going to be greener, and went out and did a few other things in the world, and realized how much I missed being a Marine and being around my brothers and sisters that I served with. And so eventually came back in on active duty and retired in 2012.
Wow.
Gunny. Master Gunny. I love it.
Gunny.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Let me try to get Tony back on. I just reached out to him right now. I don't know what happened. I mean, he's calling right now.
Okay.
All right. I think his phone died.
We'll be back in a second with Tony.
Absolutely.
So Tim, what was your position in the master gunnery? But what did you do in in Operation Desert Storm?
Yeah, thank you. So I was actually I was with an amphibious task force. So we left out of San Diego with the Navy. We love our Navy brothers and sisters. They took us around the world and showed us places that we hadn't seen before. But so I spent 9 months deployed on a Navy ship, and we were part of an operation leading up into Desert Storm. We were part of the feint. We were going to make a beach landing on the Kuwait beach.
Okay.
And then the Republican Guard came in because they were concerned that, the Marines were going to make an amphibious assault, and we didn't make the amphibious assault. Instead, we turned and went south, as our infantries enveloped them and pushed them against the beachhead, which was part of the operation that ended the war so fast.
Yeah.
So we went down and we got off at a port called Ras Al Mashab, and it was about 10 miles south of the Kuwait border. And then we pushed up in there, but I was only on the ground for about a week during the actual offense, which only lasted 100 hours.
Yeah, it was not that long.
It was not that long. And then we came back and cleaned up all the equipment, and then got back on the ships and continued to steam the Persian Gulf, eventually working our way back to California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that's a nice story to hear also, because you never hear about it really.
No, it was a very small
action, small operation.
Absolutely.
So they were not well equipped as the Japanese back in the day. So.
Exactly. Yeah, the Iraqis had a lot of Russian equipment that was definitely inferior to what America had.
Yeah.
And so it didn't take long to, pretty much get them to surrender. And that's really what it came down to. They just, they were treated so poorly that once they saw us, they were just morally and emotionally defeated. And it made it very difficult for them to go up against, a superior force.
I think they didn't want to die, so just surrender.
That's right.
Not for for that cause, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, because you never really hear that. What is your thought about Desert Storm? Because the Americans pulled back, didn't they?
At what point?
Well, in the war, because afterwards Saddam Hussein was still in government.
Right.
What do you think if the Americans and the international community, push forward and get rid of Saddam, that a whole different, maybe the Iraqi thing what came out 10 years later wouldn't occur at all?
Yeah, that's a great
thought about that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that our past president, I think he said it best at that time. We went over there to help protect, Kuwait, right?
Yeah.
We came over there to make sure that Iraq, could not occupy and take control of Kuwait, and then ultimately would have, pushed into Saudi Arabia. And our job was to get rid of them. And so I believe, again, I was just a young guy back then, but I believe that, we went over to do the job that we said we were going to do, and the president said he was going to send his military to do, and that was to push Iraq back out of Kuwait. And so when we got to the border, we stopped. And
at that time it looked like that's it. Looking
Right.
back now, 20 years later.
Yeah.
Well, let's looking back now, because know what happened afterwards. What happened,
Yeah.
It's different.
Well, and I think the truth is that we remained over there all the years. I mean, I don't know if we were ever fully out of there. We've always maintained a peacekeeping.
Well, in Kuwait, they have airfields and American presence in the Middle East.
Yes, absolutely.
Also,
and still today,
the other guys who are, like Iran and all the other Middle East countries.
Yeah, and I think we're always going to see the tyranny, right, of the world, and I don't think that that anybody wants us, going in and occupying or fighting through other people's countries.
Yeah.
You're always going to have those, those countries that are going to do that. So I think you have to be very careful. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So there's a question. I see a question coming in for you, Tim. Wartime Productions. Tim, if you're reading this, what are your thoughts on the movie Jarhead? I saw that one, but I can't remember what it was about.
All right, guys.
That's a good one. Hey, Donnie.
Hey,
you might have saved me.
What's that?
You might have saved me at a perfect time. I had a question.
Okay, Donnie, talk.
No, I was talking to Tony. He's having a little difficulty getting back on. He keeps FaceTiming me personally. And so I think we might have lost him.
Oh,
but hey, I mean, he was able to, to join us and to download the app and get on. So it's having a little difficulty now, but at least we got him today.
Oh, so he's not gonna get back in?
Nah. So, well, he's trying. So I don't know. He's trying.
If he can get back in. So for those of you guys watching who might not even know who we are or what we do, we're a nonprofit organization that takes veterans back to where they fought and served. Right now, our focus is World War II veterans because we have very little time left with them. And this was started by Donnie down there. I don't know. Somewhere over there. I don't know. I don't know what if I point, I go the right direction. Who's a former NFL player for the Chargers and the Chiefs. And this is
the
what
world champion Kansas City Chiefs.
And this is what he chooses to do with his retirement. And we, Ralph and myself, are the lucky ones who get to be involved in helping him do this. And so we dedicate our time to honoring veterans and telling their stories and putting them back in the forefront, keeping their memories alive. And so I do all the videos. Ralph does a lot of the liaison in Europe, connecting us with all the events over there in the Netherlands. And so he's along on our programs. And we
are the lucky ones.
Our mission, our goal is to just help connect veterans with like this, like doing FaceTimes or going live and trying to get their stories out and letting people engage and interact with this generation with the very short amount of time we have left with them. So just a little recap of who we are and what we do and what we're all about for those who don't know.
Hey, that's Tony calling me right now. Let me try to.
All right. Yeah. There's a chance we might get Tony back in here.
I hope so.
Yeah. And
but there are a lot of vets who are still active on Facebook and on,
I know, it's crazy. We're going to try and do a bunch more lives.
Yeah, because, well, Austin and I just had a little video chat with one of our oldest veterans that we have. We had on program, Francis Turner, who was with the 2nd Armor Division. And Francis is 100 years old and turning 101 on the end of this month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so maybe we can try to do something with him. And he's really sharp still. He's still active. And I talked to him this week. And the funny thing is, he was quarantined like everybody else and everywhere. And he was like, I'm just sitting inside. I want to play golf. So I said, well, we just, stay inside and you can play golf maybe when everything is coming back to normal, hopefully. And but he was doing very good. And he has an amazing story. He was in Africa, landed in Africa, stayed there in Morocco, and all over the place. He went in Europe and
How much we got left?
Well, we're almost done, but
all over the place.
Here, let me.
Oh, he's a nice. Maybe we can do a YouTube thing with him maybe next time.
Yeah, be cool.
Yeah, he went with us for program in France and Holland. But there he is.
There's Tony.
That's Tony on his on the iPhone of Donnie.
Nice to have you back, Tony.
Yeah, he said the host has left him.
Oh,
You're the host. Why'd you leave him?
Why
did you leave him, Austin?
Leave him?
Put him back in. Send him a new link or something. Is that possible? That's new for me, so I don't know.
Probably is. Let's do Donnie, I'll send it to you and you send it to him.
I can see. Oh,
Yep.
I can see on the bottom of this. My screen is gone now.
Yeah, we're gonna send you another link. Okay, we'll see if we can get you back in. Okay.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna hang up. Oh, okay.
Hang up.
Yes, hang up.
Little technical difficulty.
I love it.
It's even amazing that they know how to do it, like being in your 90s.
We'll get him back.
Yeah.
So who had that question for me? I guess I could be a little straight.
Oh, the Jarhead? There's a guy at Wartime Productions asked about the Jarhead.
Yeah, keep them going. So, I'm sure that like anybody knows that when you have these movies, there's a good portion of them that is probably pretty realistic and resembles what a lot of people probably experienced during that time in that movie. I think for the entertainment of the folks like us that watch it years later, I think that they elaborate a little more on some features of the film to try to get people to invoke a reaction, so to speak, right? And so I'm quite sure that I could confirm or deny that a lot of what happened in there maybe happens in the real situations as well. So I won't say that every single thing was exact, but I'm sure that there were many similar things. Just like when you do things that you're not supposed to do, you may end up having to go outside and stir the shit. which I believe that the one guy had to do as well. So,
Yeah, I remember that scene. Thinking about it, I remember something like that happened.
I mean, if there was no consequences to your actions, then people would just continue to do, things they're not supposed to. So, of course, we have to find ways.
I think there's always a Hollywood style in it.
That's
some
right.
little bit Hollywood. You have to have a story and the characters, and there's always a little bit fragments of stuff.
Absolutely.
If you want to, that's what I have with my interest in the Vietnam War. I don't know a lot about it, so I started seeing this really awesome documentary on Netflix from Ken Burns and the Vietnam War. It's about a 10 episode story about how the Vietnam War developed. So it's really awesome if you like. I'm 35. I don't know nothing about the Vietnam War, and so it's always and it gives you a really good perspective what happened and how it happened, because why, because I'm not born in the 70s and the 60s, so so for me it's a completely different war that I know nothing about really, and it got me really thinking about stuff. It's, looking at it, it has some similarities with the Iraq war, with the stuff that happened because of the public and the public opinion and the government, like the talking about it, and the president. And the cool thing in that documentary is that you hear Nixon and the other presidents talking on tape, so you can hear the conversation with the Ministry of Defense and everything. So you get you a really good image of what really happened and why he did certain things with certain attacks, with the bombardments and all of that. So so I always think if you really want to know more about it, you have to see more documentaries really, and
That's right.
and that's how your interest goes up. You know more about it, and you see another perspective of things really.
Yeah, I agree. I think same thing that you guys are doing with Best Defense. I think that it's just important to get the stories from those who actually were there, right? It's easy to have an opinion, whether you served or you didn't serve, about what something was like, but until you ask the people who actually did it.
Yeah.
And I think that the beauty of it is that our Vietnam veterans, they gave so much, and we as a society, didn't welcome them back at the time the way that we have started to in the years more recent. And I think that it's good because the more and more of the veterans that are serving and the communities, I think they're realizing that some of those Vietnam veterans, or most or all, were not treated properly.
No,
and so now we're going back and trying to right some of the wrongs that happened with them, and we're trying to show them our appreciation now. There's still always going to be people that are different, but I think
that's what they let you see in the documentary from Ken Burns. Is a really good one. I really recommend it. Is that you see the stories of just guys who were there and saw why they did the things they did on the ground, because everybody, stuff like that happened in World War II, but with civilians and stuff, but now back in those days you didn't hear about it because there were no reporters, and there was press, but it was not like it is in the 60s and like it is now. Everything's on YouTube and everybody can post stuff, and I think it's completely and you see the interaction with those veterans from the Vietnam War, and one guy tells that he came home and he was spit on, and they called them baby killers, and he just lost half his company, and he was just lost. He didn't know what to do with himself, and you see how they struggled also with that coming back home.
Yeah, and again, it's not I think that a lot of it was taken out on the individual soldiers,
Yeah.
the airmen, the Marines. And the truth is that we have to remember that, we put our hand up, and swore to defend, the Constitution of the United States. And when the president and your superiors send you to do something, that you're doing it because you're being given orders.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so you should never take out your frustration to the individuals who signed on the dotted line to do these jobs. You got to remember, just like everybody else, we all report to somebody, whether you're a civilian or whether you're in the military, or like Donnie, serving on a team. And that's what he did. He served on teams, and he listed his coaches, and he did what they said, although he had probably, I'm imagining, a little bit of latitude in how he accomplished that, but he more or less had to follow the play in the way it was designed or called out by whoever was in charge at that time.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure. So Donnie, any luck with Tony?
Yeah, I mean, every time he clicks on the link, it says he got removed by the host. So he's blaming it on you. He's like, Austin's the one that booted me.
Hey.
That's what he said. He said Austin's the one that booted me. So I mean, you can bring it up with that old Marine if you like, but I'm gonna leave it
Thank
at
you,
that.
Austin.
Remove him. Well, cool. I guess we'll end it on that then. And
Really nice to have you on, Mr. Kirk.
yeah.
Tango
Thank you,
Kilo.
guys. Sir?
Tango Kilo. It's very nice to have you on with us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you inviting me in. You're doing great work there at the Best Defense Foundation, and I wish you guys continued success and all the strength to get out there and continue to get these stories while we can.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for everyone.
Guys, and thanks to the whole entire team. As you guys know, Best Defense Foundation, we're all volunteers. So everyone that's on the team, we all donate our time. All the money that we raise goes directly out to our veterans. It's important for us to honor and recognize them. Like right now, as Austin said, we're starting off with the oldest, to the youngest. We have a whole bunch of different programs, but it's all about honor and recognition. And if you love what we do, love to have your support. For sure. Right now, we're sitting over 100 quarantine Easter gift bags out to to our veterans. So if you have a veteran that needs a little bit of joy right now during this time of uncertainty and not knowing what's going on and quarantine, make sure you send us a name and email, and we'll try to get something out to them for sure.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, it's been wonderful. We'll continue to do this. Look for it next Sunday at noon. We'll make sure that we have another veteran on and be able to engage the community. So if you guys like to come on and ask questions, I mean, here's your chance.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a couple people waiting to get in, but we're obviously not going to get to that because Tony's not here. But next week we'll have more people join in, just like Tim did here, and ask questions and interact and get your chance to ask a World War II veteran a question on camera, which is pretty special. Not many people get to do that. So,
Pretty cool.
until next week, everyone. Bye-bye. And